You know, I've had out on the campaign trail, and recently I've had some people ask me, you know, is this thing that we're looking at on the screen right there, is it a done deal for January of 27? Some people are on the assumption that there's still a vote to be taken on it. Is that correct or incorrect?
The state goes into effect January 1st, 27, anything we do about that.
Okay, so this is a done deal right there.
No.
Well, the county has got some that they're proposing also, but as far as the state codes January 1st, nothing the county can do about
That thing that Lane, that judge talked about on Facebook, that takes place January 27th.
Alabama State Bill.
Okay, all right, okay, that's what, I wanted to make sure that I was telling people the truth on that. Is it true that these codes and enforcement type things only pertain to houses that are being built for resale? Is that true?
Are you talking state or local? State or local?
State or local?
The local is different than the state. So the state has something that goes into effect. I have letters from the Home Builders Licensing Board that I've shared on Facebook, and I'm happy to share with you after this.
Yeah, a licensed home builder has to go by the state.
It's
code.
two different things you're asking. Are you asking them about what they're proposing locally, or are you asking what is going into effect on a state level?
Well, help me understand how I can tell people who ask me how our local can differ from the state.
I believe if you wait for this presentation, they'll lay
Might
out
answer those questions.
what has been suggested as it relates to that specific question.
Okay, all right. In my lifetime, I have developed two subdivisions, okay? I did one before, and I wish I knew the exact year that those other rules came into effect, somewhere around 2001, 2002, 2003, somewhere along in there. I don't remember exactly. And the reason that I know they came into effect because at that time I had to get my Alabama home builder's license. I had to pay the fee. I had to take the school. I had to take the test, all that good stuff. And I was putting one together in Ranburn, and when I put that thing together, I was looking at the guidelines that was on the record books over here, and it called for a road put in that was up to county or city, whichever the case may be, specifications. You got to put the road in. And at that time, it called for curb and gutter. Would that be right, please?
So it is, but you're talking two different things there. What you're talking about there is the county subdivision regulations. That's separate from where the building code comes in.
All right, but why have we not enforced the county
So
regulations? Why have they not been enforced in 20 years?
So you have a couple of options on that. You do have, there's a curb and gutter cross section in there, and there's also just an asphalt cross section in there. As far as enforcement goes, there's been, since I've been here 10 years. Last year was the first year that I actually had a subdivision put on my desk that would have fell within the subdivision regulations. Prior to that, there were a few, and if you go by the letter of it, this probably would be a subdivision, but somebody's taking a 10-acre tract and they're putting it into 2 or 3 acre lots, as basically 2 or 3 lots. And we wasn't enforcing that. But last year was the first year that I had an actual subdivision with a road, with a cul-de-sac, with multiple.
When I went back and read the regulations this morning of what was put in effect, actually, what you see in Strickland Valley right now, this gentleman, or I don't know who, is putting 3 houses in.
Correct.
That is a subdivision.
It is.
If it's 2 or more, it's a subdivision. The one up toward Mark's place up there at Lecter, technically is a subdivision. And if I understand the rules as they were put into place years ago, those subdivisions were supposed to be submitted to the commission, and the commission was supposed to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and make sure if there was roads involved, the roads were properly built, because I guarantee you, when these guys, ladies, whatever doing the building up there, when they get finished, they're gonna come to you and they're gonna say, take my road. because if there's anything I have found out for sure, and this personal thing, you don't want a road, okay? Because a road is nothing but a liability to you, so you're gonna try your best to get that off, and over the campaign trail for the last few weeks and months, I have found out there's one thing we don't need in Cleburne County, it's more substandard roads. We got enough of them right now, so how are we, but I will say one thing about these developers, they're doing a smart thing, they are developing in such a way they don't have to build roads. Now that's the way to do it, if you're gonna try to make money. I don't know what, the one, the big one that's up in Morris District, I don't know what they, 5 roads, 5,
Five subdivisions so far.
are they gonna have roads?
Some of them do and some of them don't.
Okay.
So,
And
They're
we're
sort of starting off at, the way I see it, is they're starting off on the main road, and then they're gonna, save spot to expand, going back behind the houses that
But
they're
people
building.
need to remember, it doesn't mean that we're gonna adopt the road.
It doesn't, but they gonna expect you to. But I guarantee you they are. I've been there and done that, and I know they gonna want you to take that road.
But we don't have to.
You don't have to. You don't have to. But they don't expect you to. But now, you take the one, I think the district lines are kind of funny now, y'all. I didn't even know where to campaign to. I think I might have got off in Marksburg up there, something, I don't know. But, the one up there, I still call it Bennyfield Store, right at the interstate there. Well, I was up in that area, so I said, I'm just gonna ride down through there and take a look at that, see what it looks like. Well, you go up this hill and there's a house on the right and a house on the left, nice, small houses. And then it's just downhill from there, it's and it looks to me like, I'm not a road expert, but it looks to me like that, they have put the base, asphalt down, and most of the time, when they build these subdivisions out, they build them out, and then they come back later and put final coat on, so it looks really sharp, But how do we guarantee it? How do we guarantee that gentleman or lady, or whatever it is up there, is gonna come back and fix that road? If they want us to take it, I guess they'll fix it, but,
So in the subdivision regulations, when it hits, they have a year. They have a year to build that subdivision out, or when it hits 70%. And at that point is when they are supposed to bring it back and actually file that before the judge's office, record the subdivision. So in order for that, there is a final inspection they have to come back through, and we ride out, take a look, make sure that wear surface has been put on.
okay, all right, so we got something in place to take care of that. And did they bring that subdivision requirement to?
Sure did.
They did, okay, great, that's wonderful.
So on the enforcement side of it, everything that was done last year and continuing through this year, it's all, including like a little small one there in Trigger that you're talking about.
Yeah,
He had all that laid out 3 years ago.
okay,
Same thing with the one up there at Lecter. But at this point, we've drawn a hard line and everything going forward. He actually has another one going up at, on 65 right now, that's the same thing. It's 9 acres, he divided into, no, it's 3 acres. He divided it into 3 lots. And he actually brought me that subdivision this morning, to the office for approval.
all right, good.
So no, in the past, we were not those small ones like that, where it was just busting a few acres up, building a couple of houses on it. We were not enforced. But as of last year, going forward, we were.
The reason this is so personal to me, in 2000 and whatever it was, I can't remember that far back, I spent like $500 something on taking the test and the books, spent another $500-600 on the license, and it didn't mean a darn thing. I mean, it was nothing. Now, if we proceed with whatever it is we're proceeding with, I want it to mean something. I mean, let's let it mean something. If it's a law, and it is, I guess, a law, let's treat it like a law. And let's get ourselves ready to make it as easy a transition as we can. I got some problems that I want to mention to you that I want us to think about. I'll try to be brief, but it's been building up in me for about 20 years now, so, you know.
Everybody good with extending this time?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been building up in me for about 20 years, because living on the Georgia line, they make everything as difficult as they can for Alabama people to do business in Georgia now. Let me tell you, they do everything that they can to make it difficult. They cut you no slack, no slack. Now, I'm not for cutting any slack, okay? It's, you know, every dog has his day, and our day may be now, but these people that's coming over, I would ask Lee, and then maybe Lee knows, are they licensed in the state of Alabama?
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody who's doing a subdivision now licensed in the state of Alabama?
They are not. There is one that doesn't have a license.
He has got to have those licenses to operate in the state of Alabama. All right,
And he, at this time, he is working on it. He's working through the testing process.
all right, has he started any business? Has he started building or started doing anything?
He has got some
I
big.
believe you've done mentioned it.
Okay,
True.
okay, all right, so so you feel like, how long are you giving him to get it done?
Well, 2027 is when all this goes into effect, and that's kind of where I
But
was.
this is in effect now.
It is.
Yeah, this is in effect now. In fact, the law says, it's Alabama Licensing Board, I believe this lady may know more about it than I do, but it says if you do a $10,000 remodeling job, you have to have an Alabama license, and that was back in 2004, so that'd be like I guess a $30,000 job now, I don't know exactly, but
I think the threshold still.
it's still 10,000, yeah, it's still 10,000. But,
And also 2,000 for a roof.
right, and you can't even get anybody to come look at your roof for $2,000. Now, I mean, you know,
That's
that's,
okay.
And I think you understand, because we don't have any permits in place yet, we don't have that person there. So now it falls upon us to just come out and legal, and the state level to come out and inspect these people, which is kind of like with health department. You can call the health department, but it doesn't mean they're gonna come out and check that.
right, I understand, but I don't know why the commission, whoever they were in 2000, didn't do what y'all are attempting to do today, start today, and put plan in place,
By state law, the commission did not have, we don't have home rule as
Right,
a commission.
right.
So, when they passed this law in 2024, they gave the commission the ability to pass and enforce building permits.
Okay, that's
So
good.
that's,
Yeah, that's good. But still, I don't know why they put all this other stuff in place in 2004 with no enforcement, because it's created problems in my opinion. But anyway, we've covered the road building, we've covered the license requirement, I feel good about that. Now, I see right here, proposal to create a building and code enforcement officer. I've had 3 people in my district ask me, all right, they're afraid that this is not going to be revenue neutral. You know, they're afraid it's gonna cost us more initially, maybe not for long, but initially, then we're gonna be collecting in fees, you know. And I agree with you. I think it's gonna start slow. In fact, I think the economy is slowing right now, and I think there's lots of things about to slow down. I believe that's happening. I see it, and I see it everywhere I go. Things are not selling. The guy that did the subdivision on Cleburne County out there, I don't think he's sold one yet, you know, I mean, and he's got excellent location, buildings look good, I mean, everything looks good, I don't, it's just the time that we're in, but I think if I was the president of the United States, I would put an executive order that we would pay the inspector on a per visit basis. Not hire an employee, but pay them good for their time, and let them go out on a per basis. For 5 years, I inspected construction progress for First Georgia Bank, Carrollton, Georgia, rode all over about 8 or 10 counties. They paid me $35 a pop to do it, and there was days that I'd make $2,000. Okay, so I mean, you know, it's not like you cheat somebody. They can make their money. And I was reading about the guy that does it at Heflin, I don't know him that well, but he may be a full-time Heflin employee, but that would be an ideal person to start with, in my opinion, you know, to see if he wanted to.
So can I
Yes.
speak on that? So the Heflin guy at this point is a salary. He is
He's salary.
he's salary with the city.
Okay.
I do agree with you that it's gonna be slow right out of the gate. So some of this, we have the building enforcement, but then we also have code enforcement. So the code enforcement being the subdivision regulations, the Beautification Act, the mandatory garbage, and logging notices. We have those 4 codes that are already in place. Just here recently, the individual that was handling those has resigned, plus some of it is run through the sheriff's office as well. So to fill some of those spaces, instead of having to hire those two positions back in addition to a building code guy, we're just gonna roll all of that into that building and code enforcement. So that's 2 employees that we're not gonna have to be paying for, and rolling all of that into that one position.
Okay.
So that's where trying to reduce some of the overall employees and adding those duties to that building code guy, so that it's building and those code enforcements. Cause he's already gonna be out in the county,
Yeah.
so he's already gonna be riding by CD, so he can pick up those additional.
And if you go back and look at the original thing, it was put back in place in 2000 and whatever again. They called for a licensed electrical person and a licensed plumber. So your inspector really doesn't have to know all the technical details about plumbing and electricity, because every licensed person that I've ever done business with are responsible people, and they do good work, and you can trust what they do. You know, well, everyone I've ever done business with, okay, maybe somebody's had a bad experience, but
I've heard claims that, and Lee, I've heard you say, there are some builders that are doing some things that may or may not meet the code.
There's some houses right now that's less than a year old that I've already got phone calls on about crack foundations and water coming up.
Well, I would be an advocate for just checking these licenses, though, in spite of the fact some of them may not do perfect work, but I would rather check licenses than hire an inspector. And I think that's kind of what you were leading to, is that if the man's licensed, he ought to know what he's doing.
if a man's licensed, now what's gonna happen, and again, Dwayne, I apologize for that. What's gonna happen, I sold some property, about 2 years ago in Georgia, okay? Now, when I sold that property in Georgia, Patrick closed it for me, but he sent the Georgia closing to Carrollton, and they did it up there, and what Georgia does is they take 3% of your gross sales and they hold it. And what they hold it for is to ensure that you file a Georgia income tax return. Now, we got all these Georgia people coming over here building houses, and I know this is not commission, but this is the state of Alabama. How do we ensure that they pay taxes in the state of Alabama? I mean, you know, they're not gonna pay nothing that they don't feel like they're gonna get caught up on, you know. I think we need to talk with our representatives, Mr. Price and Mr. Robertson, and see if we can't get them, because if you think about the whole state line of Georgia and Alabama all the way to Florida down there could be hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year's time that we're not getting. You know, won't help us here in Cleburne County, but it'll help our state. And one more thing I'm gonna put, I could talk all day, but, and going around, campaigning, y'all, I think I think we've got to be more particular about our pipe installing. When you exit a county road, I think somebody's got to put the okay on that. Do we do that now, Lee?
What do you mean, talking about driveways?
Yeah.
Yes. So there is a driveway notification on there, so when you want to get an address, you fill out a form online, we go out, we look at the location, we make a recommendation on pipe size. At that point, you can purchase the pipe from the county, we'll come out and install it, or you can install it yourself, as long as you install what the recommendation is.
Okay, so that's mobile homes and everything.
That's supposed to be everything.
And-
Before you get it, before Crystal office issues an address, then we went out and laid eyes on it.
Now, the reason I said that, there's a driveway down on 129 that should never have been, should not have been accepted. It dumps water on 129. If you look at the state of Alabama, and you look at my driveway and you say, what, if you're coming down a hill toward the state highway, before you get to that state highway, you've got to dip and you've got to enter the highway in an upward manner. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that driveway that you're referring to is the reason why there's now a notification on that we have to go through to do, because you're right.
Yeah. It was off.
We have to go by every month or so to push it back up in the road, back up in the driveway.
So we've got these things covered. Sound like we got some good things going. And I'm gonna quit now and let's talk about what y'all got going here. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you letting me get some stuff off my chest. I've been holding some of it on there for 20 years. So I appreciate it. That's your, okay, I'm sorry.
We have one thing, we did have a departure of a deputy about a week ago. He was in the, I think, current pay grade 16D, so we know. Huh? I think it was D, his current pay grade was. Well, since then, I have had an employee that was a previous employee come back, which is just shy of a month or two of 6 years certified. When he left, he was currently at a 16. Not sure. I'm not even sure what the pay grade was. But he was making 1882. So I'm asking, could I bring him back in at the 16D, which with the few raises we had in the last time, that would bring him up to what the deputy left at, and what he would be making if he was still currently here. Of course, I do have employees. I got the pay sheets here.
So from 1882 to what?
It'd be a 16D. I think it's like 1926. It's like, I think the start out, I think is a D, and then this would be 2 steps, is what it would be. But like I said, I do have the pay sheets here, and y'all can look at them, but, I got some deputies, less than what he's coming in at, almost 6 years, that would be making more than him. And he's a farm instructor, he's a alert instructor, and he's already got knowledge of the county. I mean, there's very minimal training, but he's already got, he knows our RMS, which is our record management system, he knows how it works. So basically it's learning.
So how long did you say he was here before?
3 or 4 years. No. He's been gone right at less than a year, so he was here 5-ish, close to 5. So it's not like we had to do any training. I mean, get him up to date on a few changes we made since he's left, and I mean.
So you have open,
Yes, sir.
I think you can go wrong and get a deputy for that, and not have the, so you got the paperwork to turn over?
Yes, sir.
Terry?
I didn't make one copy. I didn't know if y'all needed one or.
I mean, you can do it. You're asking the wrong question.
Well, this is what I would give to y'all asked me to present to y'all.
Yeah, you just need to sign that sheet showing you're gonna do that. The question is the finance part. The question is, are we gonna amend your budget to allow that?
That's what I was
Yeah.
kind of getting at.
I mean, you can,
I ain't trying to interrupt, but I don't mind if I have to make a difference of this budget year, which I don't see. I mean, really, I don't see how, because I had a deputy already making the exact same thing as well. But if I had to, I don't mind that. I was just talking about before, you know what I mean, the next budget.
I mean, it's already been a precedent set that you can start them anywhere you wanna start.
Mm-hmm.
The question is whether you You gonna have to fund them, or is the commission gonna fund them? So what you're talking about ain't a whole lot of money.
No, it's not.
So one of the things of this, you're not talking any money, you're just talking at the same price that the deputy had already,
Yes.
that deputy's in your budget.
Yes.
So
That
that's the
money's
question that we
already
need to know is if we're
Yeah.
gonna have to come up with more money if he's here next year,
No.
so.
And I think you just had to let us know is all basically.
Well, too, like Terry said, if
If
y'all.
there's more money for next year, we'll
Yes.
have to know.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, if you're okay with it with the upcoming budget.
Yeah. Well, they need to make that, it's already in your budget.
Yes, it's already there.
So, there's nothing to add unless.
And it's the same price, same cost as the one that just went.
Just like the exact same figure.
There's no additional cost.
The sheriff's department is different than everybody else. I mean, where they're not legal to do that, I don't think so, but the sheriff can. Because it's all set up totally different. I don't see a problem.
Just,
Y'all want to go ahead and do this?
they get, like I said.
Anyway, or,
One of them over there.
but that's, I mean, that's all I have, y'all got anything?
And I think that's the biggest thing is if we're doing this, is if there's something already in your budget, if you're adding something to your budget that's gonna
Yeah.
affect next year, that's when we really need to know.
Right.
So, and I think that's the reason why we put this in place, so we know that when
That's
that's
gonna
gonna
be
be.
up,
Yeah.
Zero courtesy.
Hey,
Yeah.
later on, I'm gonna bring up the MOU between sheriff and the commission and Randall.
Mhm.
Have you got a copy of that? Have they sent you a latest copy of that?
Jason sent me a copy.
I think it's
And
been
then-
changed since Jason sent the original copy. That's pretty much
He
that.
sent me one a week or so ago. We looked, it's probably been less than a week in it, Crystal.
Yes.
And then we looked at it, gave him the okay, and he sent it to the town of Ranburn's attorney, and we hadn't heard nothing back since then.
What the clerk called and told me was, first off, we had Jason had see it, and they
he
don't
fi-
like it.
Yeah, he fixed that.
But I think, I hadn't seen the final copy, I was just gonna see.
I think that's the last copy, is where he said he fixed the CD to town, and then he sent it over to, I think it was Greg, I think it's his name, their attorney. And then, to my knowledge, I hadn't seen anything since then, and that was, I think, last week.
Okay.
So what did they want on there, the town of Bramber?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They said they're not a city, they're a town.
Yeah, that's the last I heard. But everything, that I saw, when I looked, I think Chris looked over it too, but I think it was within line of what we all talked about.
I mean, I saw the same copy you saw.
Okay,
But I just wondered if they'd come back with other
Mhm.
changes.
I hadn't got anything yet, but it. Alright, thank y'all.
I do. The internet problem we had, where the Cleburne we used to have the contract with, we currently swapped over to Gig5, it's up and running, so we have no issues there. Had a little bit of swapping, but other than that, it's been good, so. Just a heads up on that.
There's the commissioner's not here, Porter's not here, Amy.
You ready for me? Are y'all ready for this, or you want me to talk about other stuff?
What y'all wanna do?
Okay, well, just really quick, we have, we're going back and forth between AlDOT, and our engineering, group, Sane, and us trying to get the entrance for CFM permitted. I haven't officially been told anything that we have to do at this point. But just to be on the safe side, can you put it on the agenda just in case? Or can I tell you to add it to the agenda just in case? I don't know that, we're gonna need to do anything, but the argument is, is Aldott is saying that the county has to be, help me Lee, we have to have the bond
They're wanting us to have a bond.
and the ADM permit. But
From the state level?
yes, but Sane is saying that's not right. That Thompson Grading is the one that has the bond. They already have a bond and they already have the ADM permit and they're almost done. So they're going back and forth, and I think Sane finally is like, I'm done talking to y'all, we're going above and dealing with this. So hopefully they can get it dealt with and we don't have to do anything with this.
So what's the dirt moving, we're done, right, for the property?
Once the dirt and the entrance is done, the entrance.
So what would you need us to vote on, pursuing the,
Yes,
what's the cost?
I don't know. I don't know any of that yet. That's why I'm hoping that it is.
Business and then talk about it.
Just add it tonight, and that way
Okay,
it's less confusing.
okay. I just want to give you guys a heads up that's going on. Hopefully they can get it taken care of and we don't have to worry. They've never had, in Sane's experience, they've never had to do this. So I don't know why Aldott is pushing it.
So what kind of time frame are you looking at? I mean, are they in a month or two?
They're done,
They're done?
and within a week moving dirt. They just have to do the entrance, and they're waiting on the permit.
As far as dirt moving goes, need a little dry weather, do some fine grading, but for the most part, it's done right there.
But they did request, did you see that they requested 4 more days? Okay, we'll talk about that.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, the weather.
So why can't we just turn it over to them and let them deal with it?
Because that is part of the bid. Okay. We have a, industrial advisory committee meeting on Friday, and specifically we'll be just talking about bylaws for that group. So we'll just be looking at several different, economic development authorities and their bylaws and adjusting ours, kind of working on ours, that'll be ready to go. I am currently working with Tree Brand on, I have a meeting with them this week to help them. We're working to get, they have this, new machine there that, like I said, you stick a tree in it and it pops out of a pallet. But, they have to have certain kind of skills and training, and so I'm working to help get them a grant through Gadsden State for them to come in and do the training for their workers. I'm also working with the, chamber, and the school system, and us are working together on a new program that will identify, we're creating kind of a leadership program that will identify students that are not going to, that are gonna go straight to work. And we're going to actually create a program that gets them ready to go straight to work instead of, because there's lots of programs for those going to 2-year or going to 4-year, but we're working to create this program for these kids that are going straight from high school to work. And it's gonna be kind of a leadership program for them. And we're getting a grant to do that. And then I was successful at getting the American 250 grant for the courthouse. So there's actually, I'm gonna recruit a student from the high school to help me do that, to get that done. And then, okay, y'all ready for this? Okay. And Lee is gonna help me fill in where I don't know what I'm talking about, because there's something I don't know. Okay, so this is a proposal to create a building and code enforcement officer. So it's not just a building code, it's gonna be across the board code. So what? And why is it not working? is to create a full-time position of that cut off, a building enforcement officer position, to enforce Alabama residential, building codes with the addition of manufactured homes. Okay, so the state, as we said earlier, the state has passed Alabama, residential building codes that will go into effect in, January 27. So the idea is that you guys, we don't adopt anything additional to that, but except for adding manufactured homes. We would add manufactured homes to that. And, so this position would be to enforce that code. Because there's no, the code that the state of Alabama created, there is no local enforcement. What they want, what they did in the law when they passed this in 2024, is they allowed for the local commissions to pass and create building code and building permits. So
Or adopt there.
adopt their code and to enforce that, okay? Yes.
It's an unfunded mandate. I mean, they don't want to pay for it, they want us to pay for it. That's what it is.
When you say manufactured homes, is that specifically mobile homes, or is that, where would a modular type home fall?
That would fall under this as well.
Manufactured or?
Manufactured.
Manufactured. So even the modular home, what it is, the inspections on the manufactured home, which would be the modular, it's an electrical inspection. We already come in and check the stickers, and make sure it's got certified haulers, certified installers, and make sure it's got the 1976 sticker on it. So in addition to that, it would be an electrical inspection, which would just be to come in, lay eyes on the service panel, make sure we got breakers in all open spots, quick visual on plugs, fixtures, make sure there's no open wires just stuck out before they are allowed to get power turned on to the building. It's just a quick.
And also where it's gonna be put, to make sure it don't hold water underneath it. Building. Just telling you.
Okay.
You got my law.
Is there a class of manufactured home that's not on wheels, is what I'm getting at, like a modular style manufacturing? Where maybe the walls are built in another factory.
So no, this is for the rolling, sure enough, mobile units.
Okay.
Yeah, what you're talking about, those
All
are
regular
built,
buildings.
those are built under
Regular.
regular houses.
Yeah.
What about the sheds that are being converted, or I call them sheds?
So the sheds that are being converted to be used for tiny houses, they don't, from the beginning, don't meet HUD standards. They don't have that HUD sticker on them. So, no, under the new building regulations, those would not be qualified as a
Would
living space.
we essentially ban those then? If they're not approved, we can't inspect them for anything, but are they gonna be legal?
For an occupied living space, they would not be legal.
How do we enforce that? We have the authority to enforce that.
No, it's right here.
With this building code officer. So the idea is not to create an actual new department, but to create a position under the county engineer. So that the idea is to support inspections, permitting, ordinance enforcement, and we'll talk about a little more what they're gonna do. And then the goal is consistent, fair, and locally managed development oversight. So why is the county considering this? Just, you guys see the residential growth in manufactured housing activity continuing to increase, coming from, particularly from Georgia. There's currently no oversight for construction in the county outside of Heflin. And then the county needs consistent procedure for permitting, inspection, and proposal supports. We believe it supports managed growth without excessive regulations. So the benefits to the citizens for this, I think is pretty obvious to me, but protects homeowners from unsafe and standard or substandard, construction. It helps preserve property values, both the homeowner, both yours and your neighbors. Reduces risk for electrical, structural, and septic failures, and then creates accountability for contractors and builders, and improves transparency and consistency. So, you got any comments on that, Wade? Just other benefits that y'all see from having something like this? We already, I mean, as you heard earlier, Lee has already been getting calls about some of the homes that have been built, that the foundations have been cracking and there's water leaking under the floor, and the first call we got was, who permitted this house? There's no permits. Currently.
Let me ask a question right there then. Okay, so we do create this. How far into the legal route are we gonna go? Is our inspector gonna testify when somebody sues? In Carroll County, they don't do that. Here's your report, we done. Is that what y'all proposing on that? Or
Yeah, I mean, talking with Jason, he essentially says it's that same thing. The paperwork will be admissible, but we're not gonna go say it.
So what we believe, as Lee mentioned earlier, is currently we have 2 employees, Jenny, who just left, and then there's Bailey at the sheriff's department that does the logging notifications. And so what we're talking about is combining those 2 positions with this position. So this person would actually handle residential permitting inspections, mobile home inspections, subdivision regulation compliance, logging notifications, Beautification Act enforcement, mandatory garbage compliance, and business license inspections and compliance verification. So that would be the plan.
And this currently all comes through my office anyway, so I will be there as assistance backup for all this stuff.
what kind of qualifications, license, or whatever?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, what it does not do is it does not eliminate homeowners' rights. It does not prohibit owner-built homes. Okay, so let's explain that. If you are building your own home, you can voluntarily come and get the exemption, fill out the exemption forms, right?
Not necessarily voluntary, you got 2 options.
Well,
You
yeah.
can come get a permit, or you come fill out an exemption form.
Yes. You can have us permit your home, or you can fill out the exemption form. As long as you sign in the exemption form, it says that you will not resell that home for up to 1 year. From, I would say, the date of completion.
Is there a cost to get the exemption?
Not on the exemption,
So
there's
you
no
would,
cost.
you would come to the office, you would have to bring a deed showing that it's your property. You would have to bring your homestead exemption stuff from the revenue, showing that it's your primary residence, because this does not apply to rentals. You can't, we're not gonna do exemptions on rental property, so this would be your primary residence. And then you just fill out the affidavit saying that you're not gonna sell within a year. So that would be your exemption process, so just fill that, find those documents, fill out that paperwork.
Karen?
So, even though you're exempt, the inspectors will go out and inspect it.
No. But you are still required to build that house per the Alabama residential building.
Okay, so how can we follow the state's regulations when the county's changing it?
This is state regulation.
The
This
state
is the
has
state
this in their
regulation.
regulations.
This is part of the Alabama Residential Building Code
They
exemption
can be
process.
exempt with no inspections.
It's
Well, they
still,
don't
Because
know.
you,
All houses now.
you're taking ownership of it.
But I'm just looking at it like you're not treating everybody the same.
Commercial builders will be treated different than property owners.
I mean, as long as it's
They're
legal.
restricted,
you know.
they're restricted, they cannot sell that house for 1 year.
Well, let me say, y'all can decide to treat them all the same. I mean, y'all can decide to make homeowners permit, if they're going to build a home from ground up, you can make them get a permit.
What does Jason say about that? I mean, I just think legally we stepping off into something that might provide us.
So what we have right here, you're following the law, so you're not. But I'll give you my opinion on it. I think that the exemption should be on the owner-built homes. I think it should apply to additions and renovations. If you want to do a little add-on, do a renovation, you want to get an exemption, fine. But if it is a foundation up, brand new stick-built house, I think it should be permitted.
So in the city of Heflin, if you are building your own home, you have to get everything has to be permitted. I mean,
I understand how it
So-
works. I've built.
but what we're doing is following exactly what the state.
Follow the state.
We're just gonna enforce what the state has done.
In your proposal, you said they would have to claim it as a homestead. Well, you're currently living in your homestead. If it were, let's say you had another property down the street, and you wanted to build a new home and sell the old home, how would that person be able to be exempt for building their own home with their own estate? Because you couldn't meet the homestead part, but if it's on the same property where you already have a homestead, then you could be exempt.
Well, you could work the system. I mean,
That's
you
just
could go down the
really-
road, you could build your own home and sit on it for a year, and then you can resell it.
That's really just semantics, so that's getting rid
But-
of detail on.
It is, but this is important because a lot of people that wanna build their own home that are gonna be exempt, if they build it in their yard, would not be exempt around the block.
Well, you wouldn't start paying taxes on it until you got the house built in a year.
I would want to exempt that person that's gonna build around the block. I mean, I might myself be in that situation where there are different tracts of property that are all mine, but I'm not gonna build it right there in the yard on my homestead.
I think it would be exempt under the state law, because you're building a house for you to live
On
in,
your
but you're not going to resell.
So
What you do with the old house that's already built,
we just need to get some clarification on that.
You would just put it as part of the affidavit that you sign that says, this is gonna be my primary residence. It could all be handled in just the.
You can't have two primary residents.
That's the bottom line, you could.
Yeah.
Well, that's just, I don't have it that way. I have to pay taxes on every other house I got. On my house where I live, I exempt on it, but the rest of them I pay 20%. You would too. So if you had two houses on your property, you live in one of them not gonna be exempt. I'm just gonna
I
tell you.
understand that, I'm talking about whether or not you gotta buy the permit or not, that's all I'm talking about.
But what we have to be careful with even on that though, is exempting you to go down the road and build that other house. You go down there living in it a year and say, hey, I'm gonna do this again, I'm gonna move up here and build it.
And there'll be people that do that, they do
They do
it already.
it now.
People do that all the time, that's why a lot of people get into the,
Yeah.
you've probably done it.
You build a house and you live in it for a year or two, and then you turn around and sell it, flip it, go back to another house.
But to me,
Most time you renovate a house.
to me, that goes back to the additions and renovations. If you do the exemption for additions and renovations, then you're doing that to your homestead, to your primary. And then if it's a completely new stick-built home, if we say you gotta permit and inspect every new build, then even what we were talking about there, somebody lived in it for a year and then moved and built another, moved and built another, moved and built another, you eliminate that by doing it as just additions and renovations. And I go back, I think if it's a stick built from the ground up, it needs to be inspected.
But I tend to agree with that as well, but,
The outrage over this whole subject is somewhat accommodated by giving these exemptions. That loophole, whatever you wanna call it, it may be the only way we can find some middle ground.
Yeah.
So I'm just suggesting that we clarify that so that if you do build on a separate lot, that you would be entitled to the same exemption as if you built in your front yard.
So this between the four of y'all, that's where that clarification's got to come in at. Because right now, what you've got is state law. So,
Well, and it's, yeah, I hadn't read all the details in that, but.
okay. So, the recommended qualifications that we're suggesting for this position is somebody who is ICC residential inspector certification. That's pretty standard for a building inspector, construction or code enforcement experience, and we'd like to find someone who has experience. And then, what's very important to, particularly me, is that customer service and communication skills. I mean, that's where you get a lot of folks that have the bad taste in their mouth with inspections, is you've got that person that's such a negative Nelly, and they're just, everything is no, you know, instead of coming at it from like, you know, this is what the homeowner wants, the county wants this, like, let's find, you know, a great common ground and work together. So that's what we're hoping for, the ability to work independently across the whole county, because, they're gonna be on the road quite a bit. So here's our proposed first year budget, and this is the first year budget versus year 2. So personnel costs is what we're suggesting, about $64,000 for that. So we talked to Emily, and we're looking at a starting salary of around $57,000, but with benefits and everything, it'll be around $64,000 for that. So currently, the 2 positions that we're eliminating were around, what did we say, 45,000 is what would go towards that with those 2 positions.
Is that 1.5?
That's 1.5.
So 1.5 jobs.
Yeah, 1.5 jobs, correct.
So they have a vehicle too, right? So we use it.
So then,
They got a bid,
they got a vehicle.
but I'm just waiting for the day that I gotta go pick them up on side of the road.
Maybe 2, really, it's half and half, because you took part of the responsibilities of one of them.
So, I was gonna approach this a little further down the road, but yes, it's not a half and half by any means. My community center operator is gonna pick up the exemption process, but that's it. And she's already.
Customer service.
Answering that, but she's already doing all of those anyway.
Okay.
So, she's just gonna be running solo on that. She's gonna approach it.
I'm gonna question $64,000, that can't be right. If you're gonna salary is 57, the damn insurance is $8,000, that didn't count retirement or anything, so how much come up to 64?
That's what Emily gave us, right? Mm-hmm.
That ain't right. I would give it's $8,040 just for insurance. So that puts you over the 64 right there.
Her name like
She's walked there.
Okay.
I mean, you can keep going, but that figure ain't right.
Well, and how much is the base salary?
What was it? It was 57.
57.
And you think you can get somebody from the builder world to take that kind of base?
Based on our
With
research,
all those skills and licenses and
I've actually done talk to 3 different individuals.
that will take it at that rate?
so, based on our research, the surrounding areas and looking at salary data, that was consistent with what they're getting paid. So I'll look back into that 64, what that would be. So,
It
Emily,
can't be right. I mean, cause we gotta provide retirement, we gotta provide insurance, the insurance is over $8,000 a year.
so the 23A was 57,000, I believe.
Yes.
And then, with the full package, what did we say?
64.
Yeah,
How could it be 64 when the insurance is gonna cost over 8,000?
That's included in it.
Huh?
It's included in it.
Yeah, 8,000, but 57, that's more than 64.
So it's 4, I mean, take
And that's not counting
57
retirement or
back on
anything.
8,000, we're talking 49 salary.
No, the salary was 57.
So the benefits would be retirement, payroll taxes, insurance.
Okay, I'll let her look that,
If
and
you just
we'll,
do 57 plus insurance, it's over 65, so it's gotta be more than that.
These numbers right here include, does your numbers include all those benefits?
I thought it did, I may have forgotten one of them, let's see. Okay, so we'll go on from that, but that's, so the vehicle, yes, we have a vehicle in there, yes, there is a vehicle that we have right now that is in very poor shape, but we have in there a vehicle this first year, and so that will of course come out the second year. And the idea is that this will become, self-supporting. Now, as we said, so what we looked at is we got numbers from the Revenue Commissioner's Office, and here's the past 3 years in activity. These are new properties that she has brought on. So in 24, there were 55 new constructions with 30 mobile homes. in 25, 75 new construction so far, and then 42 mobile homes brought in. And then 26 so far has been 56 new construction with 67 mobile homes, just in the first 5 months.
Somewhere in here, you got a breakdown on cost for the permits.
So I'm gonna talk about the fees, and then I'm gonna talk about the revenue. Okay. So the fees that we're proposing are based off of what we looked at from Tallahassee County. And so we kind of took what they're doing and put that together. So the base permit fee shall be equal to the greater of the following. Either 1, contract amount between owner and contractor, or 2, 85 cents per square foot of living space plus 25 cents per square foot of attached unoccupied space. So what does that look like for a home? It's not, this is supposed to be linked.
We could do 22 feet.
Well, okay, yeah. So you could, if you put in like a $250,000 home, your permit fee is $1222.50.
What's the square foot?
Please, the square foot is an alternate calculation.
Yes, it is.
You either have a total value or an alternate
You
calculation.
do one, you do two, and then, so the permit fee is the equal to or the greater of the two. So yes, you have to do one and two.
So, people are having to have their homes inspected now for banks on mortgages, what are they paying to have them set? I've heard $5,000 or $6,000.
So if you go to,
Yes, but I don't know.
if you go to 80, when that 85 cents,
Yes.
2,000 square foot house, that's $1,700.
Okay. Well, I have a whole.
I mean, I'm not questioning y'all's figures, but that looks awful cheap. Without you building a 12 by 12 building.
250,000? Is what you're saying, it looks cheap?
1,200, is that 1,200?
Permit fee, $1,200 equivalent.
And so I'll say this too, but so you just done that calculation based off 2,000 square feet, you're not gonna build a 2,000 square foot home for $250,000. You know, ideally, you know, that probably is a good 340 range to get a good comparison to.
But you see what I'm saying, if you're gonna say 85 cents, then that's what you should have calculated that over there. You got two different formulas working.
We got two different formulas, you have to pick one of the others, what you got to pick. You pick the one that's.
Are you gonna go with the cheapest one? Or are you gonna go with the most expensive?
You're gonna go with the more expensive. And a lot of where, when you get over here in this workbook, you start working your way through it, it breaks it on down into number of plugs, number of fixtures, number of things. So the more stuff you put in your house, the higher your your permit fee would be.
So, why are we even doing square foot then? That's just one value in the equation.
It's a base permit.
It's because it
You
could come
got
into
5
effect.
toilets, or 3 toilets, or 2 toilets, if you got.
So that's just the starting, and then you add on.
But you build that 2,000 square foot home and you don't really put nothing in. You say barn dominium or something like that, where you got really just a lot of open space.
So it's always gonna be more.
It's
There
always,
ain't no way it's gonna be less. It's always gonna be more.
no, not always. Because that's what, if you got a lot of square footage, but not a lot inside that square footage, then 85 cents would probably be more than that.
It's gonna be according to how many plugs, according to how many switches, it's gonna be according to how many toilets, how many showers, so it's always gonna be more. How can it not? Or do you have a minimum? You gonna say 2 bathrooms is fine and 50 plugs is fine, or, you know, where do you start?
So
Isn't that laid out on this website?
it is, and to, I guess to stay out of some, you know. And what I'm getting at, like, if you're building a barn dominium, we're gonna go with 2,000 square foot, whether that's a barn dominium.
I mean, I looked at.
That's your $1,700 that you said there.
Yeah.
So, then if you get it over to the worksheet, and you start working your way through that worksheet, and you got all that open space, but you don't have that many plugs, you don't have that many fixtures, because this is a big open area, then that calculation could be smaller than the 85 is, based off just square footage.
I mean, I've looked at the topics and stuff and all that stuff. I'm asking questions that these people out here won't answer. I mean, they hadn't seen any of this.
I don't remember exactly how it worked, it was kind of either or. You calculate this way first, and then if, I can't remember if what, you calculate the other way.
That's equal or greater.
So,
It's gonna be the higher one, so.
It's gonna be the higher one.
Rid of this 1222, is gonna be 1,700 most likely.
so you're not gonna have anybody comes in there.
Well, no, you said you can't build 2,000
I'm gonna say
square.
no, because you
So
can't.
that's a 1,500 square foot house most
So
likely.
if she puts in 350, no, not 350.
Whoops.
Now you're talking.
That's above my house.
So if you do, one more zero. So see, that's gonna be a 2,000 square foot house, so it's 1,647 versus 1,700 there. It works out for everything.
Okay,
So
so
in
you,
the house and you start breaking this down, it could be
But
less.
if you go into this house right here, you start upgrading, and all of a sudden this 350 becomes a $400,000 house, then that's where your permit would come in at
so you, this is another cost that you ain't talking about.
18.
Blueprints. To get a set of blueprints that's gonna tell you all that stuff, you're talking about some money. I mean, it's not gonna be, I'm gonna take this sheet of paper and I'm gonna sketch this out, this is how big everything's gonna be, it's gonna be 2 plugs here and all. You might have something that's detailed, which is gonna cost.
You gotta have several
Well,
blueprints.
how is the builder gonna build it without a set of blueprint?
You have to have a set of blueprints if you've already done
If
it.
you're building your own home,
This is the developer's gonna be figuring this. If you're building your own home, you should sign the waiver and get a licensed builder and have that.
It's hard to do this because you don't know what's gonna happen in the future. I mean, when all of us are gone, which I'm leaving anyway, the next commission comes in, they wanna completely redo this and say, okay, everybody does builder's permits.
But that would be up to them.
Yep.
Or the ones that are staying behind.
We're opening it up.
I know.
but if you don't pass anything right now, and you get a new commission in, they may come in and pass something in, so, I mean, that's just life.
According to the law, county commissions have until January 1st to pass their own building codes. If not, the Alabama building code is going to be it. So,
But if you're a county and you don't adopt that,
You don't have to adopt anything, do you?
Well, I'm saying-
it's state law, but if you don't come up with enforcement,
If you
it's
don't have
gonna
a
be just
backup.
like what we got now. I mean, if you don't
That's
have
what
any,
we're- I think that's what we're working for, is enforcement, right?
This is all about the enforcement through the permit. We could go out and enforce licensing without touching the permit.
You know that?
We got a position for it.
But
Enforcement.
that's not gonna solve the problem when people are still building homes that are not safe to live in.
You can make sure that there's no unlicensed builders doing it.
Exactly.
You're still, unless you've got eyes on it, you're still not gonna solve the problem that we're having.
So why do they even have a license? The licensed builder, you have to work at a certain standard, and if he's a repeat offender or failing to do that,
Yep.
what's gonna happen to him? He's not gonna be a builder for long.
The house that I got to complain on the other day is he would have everything that he needed to have that you just mentioned. I would check him off as being good to go. But yeah, here we are a year later with problems that would only be fixed with an inspection license.
No, not true.
He's got his home builder's license. He's done everything that he's supposed to.
So what was the failure?
You cut corners.
4-inch license, no permit.
Profit.
So he didn't do it to code. He's in violation of the codes that already exist.
Nobody's found it, you know.
We could have a code enforcement officer out there making sure that he's licensed, and then it's up to the state to deal with him if he's not building to the codes.
It's no different than what we have now. We also have, same thing for septic tanks, you still have a health department, and it's supposed to be checked off, but it's not happening. Until we put somebody that's
How many
checking it off.
licensed septic tank installers do we have that are doing it wrong? Is that a big problem, the licensed ones are doing it wrong?
Not licensed septic, no.
Okay,
But-
that's what I'm saying, how to do
But
it.
what if they don't get a permit? What if they just go within this, whatever?
We can enforce that. You see a construction site, find out who's doing the work, make sure they're licensed.
So what
I'm
you're
just,
gonna
I'm
have
talking
to have
alternatives.
You're gonna have to have somebody that enforces this.
So, okay, that's not it. Where was that?
I mean, the building standards are the same, it's just whether it's permit or not permit.
It's what it
It's
is.
gotta be built to the same standard either way.
But without an
It
inspection.
ain't gotta be
process,
built to the same standard anyway. Once it's already poured and nobody knows it, it's already built.
Oh, where?
But the
You know,
law,
it's gonna-
the code said it had to be built that way.
Hey, Tanya, I think you were on your Google. Look at Google,
Somebody's
somebody's
got
got.
to have eyes on it.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so that's base permitting fee. This is, mechanical HVAC, I believe. HVAC fees, same as, that's the television, that we came up with.
And these next few slides are individual contracts. This is not new builds. This is, I've got to have a new HVAC. I've got to have a service redone.
Yeah,
So this is all individual.
then that's gonna be totally different than what we was talking about exemptions. If I got a house and I'm replacing my HVAC, why can't I be exempt from that?
Because the law says you can.
it's over $10,000.
Yeah, you can be exempt from any of it, as long as you get a lot. I don't think this even applies, the way I understood it. Just to replace them, this is like for a new home that's got all this stuff, right? To figure the initial permit fee.
No, these are individuals. So
So if I get a new roof, I can come get an exemption. But if I do a HVAC, I gotta come get a permit.
you still got your $10,000, $2,500 units.
Those thresholds are what require them to be licensed.
Be licensed.
Does the state, why would we have to permit that on a homeowner? That threshold was only related to the licensed contractor part. Why do we have to permit it? We don't necessarily have to.
You don't necessarily have to. Goes
You got
back,
the same-
goes back to what do you, if you want to do the exemption or not.
So on all these additional things, we could exempt that just like the original deal.
You could.
But currently, that's not in the proposal.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not trying to argue with anybody, I'm just, the problem we got with this is we're not communicating to the public. And once we get this situated, I'm for putting it on the website and give me a copy of it,
Okay.
and so we
gotta
can
plan for that.
explain it.
We gotta
I
plan
mean,
for that.
because it's getting too complicated and too confusing.
Okay, if you let me get through the presentation, then we'll talk about that, okay? Alright, so then we would add mobile home inspection fees. So that would be $75 per mobile home. So based off of our proposal, and based off of what let me get through it, please. Based off of what we have gotten from the Revenue Commissioner's office, this is kind of what we're looking at as far as our annual revenue. Okay?
But you got residential additions and renovations, we've already established that's a thing.
It is, but
Like
you
$10,000
could,
ain't gonna be
it's
there.
in there, we have it in there for right now.
Because everybody may not want to be exempt. If you don't know what you're looking at for, you'd be willing to have.
Oh, I think that if you're gonna do it, you should allow voluntary inclusion.
That's what this is. If you want
Okay.
somebody to come look at your system, it's
Okay.
You get the luxury of the inspection if you pay for the permit.
But if we're not gonna be able to convey this to the average person, you're not gonna get anybody to go along with it.
Just a money grab.
I mean, we need to, I guess we need to figure out what we want. And then it needs to be written down exactly how it's gonna work.
And that's what, toward the end of this, that's what we're gonna get to. We'll have this presentation out there that you flip through. The worksheet will be out there where you play with numbers that on the worksheets. And we're developing a flow chart as well that kind of work you through the process as well. So all that would be,
I think this is just a rough draft, and then you amend it however you want to, and then come up with
Correct.
a final.
So
version.
this is not
That's a lot.
anything we voted on in 2 weeks.
no.
Okay.
No.
And as far as communicating to the public, that's what we're working on right here. This is the communication to the public.
This is our
It's not
starting
even a
point.
final- Yeah, it's a starting point, it's not a final.
No, it's not final, right?
Correct.
This is our communication to the public to where the last 6 months worth of conversations that's been on Facebook that's full of stuff that's not correct. This is our rebuttal to all of that.
Okay.
But this is the pick and choose.
Let's ask a question before we proceed. It's been stated again and again and again that septic for mobile homes and tiny homes and utility buildings, that's a big, big problem.
Yeah.
We've all agreed septic is a problem. Your mobile home inspection only is only electrical. How would this expand septic?
Alabama Power will not turn on a power to a mobile home without a septic being in place. A septic permit is required by them before they turn power on,
So, it's my understanding from a retired health department official that did those inspections, that years ago, when they quit doing that, it was because of like a Supreme Court ruling, there's a court ruling on that, the power company can't control your power based off of the septic. Has that somehow changed now? We're going back to that again?
They always ask, you gotta have an address, you gotta have a perk test before they'll turn temporary power.
Gotta have a perk test.
Well, that's your permit. That's your permit for the septic.
Is anybody checking the completion of this after you get the perk?
So once you get the permit, the final document that you got to turn back in is CUP5, which comes from the licensed installer that says this system was installed per the permit.
And today, they're not turning on power till that's done.
No, they're turning on power with a permit. But then it's up to the installer to provide you that CUP5 back once it's complete. Because they'll go and turn power on, but you may not install your septic system till your house is closer to completion.
So they don't turn power off. If you don't get it installed right, you don't turn power off.
It's a temporary pole, so yes, that's why it's temporary power, and yes, they've got stuff in
Okay,
place.
I was told that they couldn't do that anymore, it it's been so, 10 years ago, probably, they couldn't do that anymore.
That's talking with the local Alabama fire reps and everything, so yes.
All right, I'll look into that some more, because it was the guy that did the inspections that told me this, they quit it.
And there was a time period in there that they
And
did.
I think
Okay,
when the
then that's it.
2024
It's temporary.
changed that, a lot of that in 2024 changed.
Just while we got the sewage though, this doesn't do anything for the ones that's running out on the ground today, right? If you're grandfathered in and you got no sewage, no septic, how's it gonna help us with that?
This right here.
No,
does-
it's not.
It helps you in the fact that you have a local person that is in charge of all of this enforcement.
He can't even go on private property to check that septic.
So, you would be able to, well,
How would he be able to?
not to check the system,
This right here provides right of access.
yes.
Private access when you buy a permit, what about if you get the exemption?
If you
Give
get
up private access if you take the exemption?
Can't get an exemption for a septic tank.
yeah, you got.
That's a police, that's not a building.
The septic permits through the health department, that's a completely different thing. Every house, every residence has to have a permit for septic. And that goes through.
Outside of septic, you said you have right of access if you get a permit, what if you get an exemption?
So even if you get that exemption, then we don't have that right, we don't have that
You
right.
can't go on the property.
No,
Okay,
We have reasonable access to the front door, is how that is.
basically not speaking to somebody and
When
looking
you
for.
pull in the driveway, when you walk the front door, you can't go down there.
If you go that way.
okay, so this just lays out the inspection process. So, common public concerns is government overreach. The program focuses on safety, accountability, and protecting taxpayers. Permits cost too much, failed construction and unsafe installation costs far more. That is a proven fact. This slows development, predictability process improves project coordination. So our economic impact for this, there is job creation, permit activity, supports local trades, inspectors, and supply chains. Permit fees can fund infrastructure improvements and public services. I see this as a public service. Having an enforcement and permits on the county level is a public service to our citizens. Property values, code-compliant construction protects and increases neighborhood values. That is a proven fact. Insurance and liability permit work reduces claims, lowers premiums for homeowners. That we have spoken to insurance agents about this, and they have all encouraged us to do this. We have spoken to bank loan officers. Some of our local banks do require permitting, some of our banks do not. But they would prefer us to have permitting. It makes them feel a lot better loaning for that.
Okay, of course, the banks and insurance is gonna love it because they're gonna hold this piece of paper up and say the county expected it. So we're assuming liability.
Yep.
That's all the way back to what I was asking about liability a while ago. I mean, I think all that's good, but
I think Seth Gallo explained that when he came to the county, wouldn't be liable for anything.
you know the bank is gonna, if something comes up or that's the first thing their attorney, this is exhibit one. The county signed off on it. So, looks like to me we're accepting some liability in this. Again.
Okay, so implementation timeline. We are proposing taking the summer and, before the budget is passed and doing the town hall meetings, having this, continue to be talked about, putting this on our websites for people to ask questions, throughout throughout the summer. We believe this can be implemented just through the budget process. Creating the position, under the county engineer, and it be a budget line item under that. What approvals would have to be made would be, if you change anything to the state code that they have already passed, then you would have to, draft a resolution to add that, so like the mobile home inspection would need to be added. And then the idea would be, starting in October, we get all the final fees and everything done with get the hiring, in place by, in October, November, December, have this ready to roll out in January 2027 when it goes into effect. So that is the plan, and this is where I have for questions.
Well, it's just already got that far.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is not, we would have to adopt the state policy, because if we don't have somebody to enforce it, we could just say, we can do it.
In Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, the state law, the state code that's going into effect in 2027, the law that was passed said it would apply across the state and supersede at least the county has to abide by the minimum, by at least that. It can add above that, but it can't go below the standards that it sets.
You can adopt anything you want between now and January. After January 1st, it's got to at least be.
At least
So
be.
the state codes are gonna be law, it's not an opt-in or opt-out.
The law says the Alabama residential building code shall be enforced by local jurisdictions that have permitting and inspection programs for residential construction.
So like I said earlier, it's an unfunded mandate that they're throwing on the county, y'all pay for it. Which I don't like unfunded mandates from the legislature, taking their mandate.
Well, you can choose to do nothing. I mean, y'all don't have to do any of it, but, I mean, y'all heard me say this from an economic development standpoint, you've got a lot of development happening, and we have no control over what quality is coming into our community. And there is a trickle down, to use Ronald Reagan's term, a trickle down effect of that, particularly in our school systems. Because we have a lot of people that are moving in, that are kids that are going to have housing. Are we gonna have, what type of housing are we gonna have 10 years from now?
I mean,
And
I'm not,
what are we gonna have to support
I'm not arguing,
those citizens?
I'm not arguing my point.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do whatever my citizens want. It doesn't matter what I want. I mean, I need what I wanted a week ago. It's not me. You gotta convince these folks out here that it's a good thing.
And that is, just like the last meeting, it was packed in here, people wanting us to do something because they've got those letters.
Yeah.
Like up our way, it's subdivisions going in everywhere, and people are wanting to know, they don't want a Dollar General in their backyard.
And you've already seen the city of Fruithurst and city of Edwardsville, or town of Fruithurst and town of Edwardsville, they're already making changes.
Well, that's another question. Is our stuff gonna supersede the city? We
No,
can't go inside the city limits on one thing.
no.
No.
But they can adopt off of us.
So the city can just do whatever they want.
They say,
Already got that.
it's written up like they can opt in, kind of the garbage.
But like, I know Heckler's already got it, but like Ramberg and Fruithurst and whatever doesn't have it. So would that mean that the county is gonna police their city limits, or if they don't want it, they just don't get it and we don't police
If
it?
they don't opt in, it's no different than we collect money for the trash. If they opt in, they want our inspector to inspect, then the next municipality will come down to the engineer's office to fill out a permit form, or if they're building their own house.
That's come to the commission. We would have to allow them.
That's what I'm saying, if they opt in.
Yeah.
And then once they opt in, they don't have to come to commission each house if they opt in on it.
No, not each house, but we have to assume the responsibility to police the city limits, just like we police the county on whatever gets passed.
And talking about liability, you know, that was my question too, these letters we're having to write. What liability, does that open? I don't know how many calls you get, Lee, but I know Crystal gets calls, I get calls to the office, Joyce gets calls to the office wanting to get a mortgage with certain companies, and we just found out USDA is not doing mortgages unless it has been inspected. So we're having to do letters saying that we don't do anything. And when the FFA, you know, when Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae say they're not gonna do them, then everybody's gonna be falling for something.
Crystal, Emily, did you relook at that?
Yes, there was a number that was missing. It is now $71,782.
For the full package? Okay.
71, 72.
You got anything else, Tammy?
No,
But the liability, I don't know how many jobs that I permitted in Atlanta and Georgia, but I hate to put a number to it. But anytime there's ever been a problem on the job, and they come through and the building inspector does their due diligence to inspect the job, it always goes back to the contractor. I've never seen the city of Atlanta, Douglas County, Harrison County, Villarica, I'm just naming off some that I have permitted jobs, that, you know, I mean, they come in and do their diligence to make sure it's right, but sometimes it might be something where the pan didn't get leveled, where the water runs off in and floods the house. That always goes back to the contractor after 1 year warranty. I don't think the county would be taking a liability by sending somebody out to permit the house unless they just negatively meant to do something to change something about the house or that I've ever had to deal with. Every time I've ever seen any issues with contractors, it was always the contractor being, it gives the homeowner a chance to go after the homeowner, the contractor.
As far as MA 911, I don't have anything. We're trying to move right along in the admin office. We are, tomorrow gonna send out budget, worksheets to all the department heads to request they start working on their budgets. The finance office is closing the month out currently, so that will be done. Payroll was done without a hitch this morning. I think that's about all we have going on. Just trying to remember my memory.
We had a good meeting Thursday.
John's.
Yes, we had a department head meeting, Thursday, so we've been doing that the Thursday before each work session, and it's worked out really good for us. We're gonna sit down and, go over as department heads, what we have going on and ensure no one needs budget numbers or, assistance with anything, so those have been extremely beneficial for us as department heads for sure.
It's a really good learning opportunity.
Yeah, it is.
Just like Joyce really informed us.
That's
last week
right.
about buying stuff for her office.
Yeah, so.
I think that's one of those things that's been going on, when we started doing those meetings like that. I think that way all the department heads stay on the same page.
Yeah.
Here.
The car insurance deal. Does everybody wanna talk about that, or do we wanna talk about it now, or talk about it later, or? Change
talking
it.
about as far as the deductions
Yeah.
that's sent out there.
John had something he was concerned about.
It was, were you gonna ask about that input situation we talked about?
Yeah, I was wondering.
Were you gonna, okay, I didn't know which one.
We can wait and discuss this later then.
Now, I mean, we can make a decision if we're gonna keep it the same. Did everybody get that email?
With the deductions. We still haven't, I assume we still haven't heard anything from the ACCA as far as insurance. If they're getting closer to, being able to look at our property and everything, so before we can hopefully get our insurance lower.
We briefed on that, and, for budgetary reasons, we were advised to do a 6% increase, but we have not heard anything yet back on that.
We may have to, reach back out to them, to Henry, and just
Sure.
let him know that we've had some changes.
Yes, ma'am.
It should not be this hard to get insurance through there.
Yeah.
Or get a quote.
They've hired someone, to go out and evaluate, property now, so hopefully it's getting closer.
I don't know a whole lot about this, but, okay, we got all our vehicles, which is pretty much just passenger vehicles, we're not counting the big trucks. And then we got the sheriff's department's vehicles. Is that right? We got two separate policies.
Law enforcement's on the set.
So, these figures here, are they on both of them, or are they on just one?
I think that's just for the patrol.
I'm trying to pull that email back up. Mr. Hendricks.
I mean, I read the email 2 or 3 times, and it
Makes sense.
never did get me to figure out what they was really saying about both policies.
I can definitely contact, that was from Parnell, wasn't it? I'll definitely contact Parnell back and see if we can get some clarification from them on that.
It didn't look to me like it's gonna help us a whole lot to increase the levels.
Well, I mean, if you increase it to $5,000, you're saving $2,630. If you increase it to $10,000, you're getting 4510 reduction. And 15, which I don't know if we need to go 15, is 5317.
Factor in one accident, kind of, that looks good.
And then, see, this is what's going on, okay, it says all, that was all our owners that I just quoted. But then you go to Apex, then it says 3856 on 5,000, 8,000 on $10,000 vehicle, and 12,000 on 15,000. I mean, that's, I would say the 10,000 on that deal is worth looking at, but
I'm not sure how much work has been put into this, so my apologies on that, but has anyone pulled our claims to see exactly how much they were and try to average that out to see?
that's a good idea. Why don't we just task you to do that? Everybody good with that?
I thought we had done that.
We tasked Lisa with getting quotes, we didn't task her with looking at past claims and all that stuff. I don't think we did.
I was thinking that we talked about the different claims and what our needs and all.
It'd
I
be
can definitely
interesting.
get Tracy.
We just need to get it done.
Yeah, that's the reason the 85 that we paid out, we decided to go toward it.
We need some clarification, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If we need a resolution, let's go to resolution, but I'm just resolution.
I on patrol vehicles. But it would be interesting to take the last couple of years, look at the accidents we had, and see how the savings balances out.
Crystal, do you have those quotes?
Yes, I do have them.
Our residents on the same thing, accidents.
Most of the sheriff's office, right?
But you go to a
Yeah.
$10,000 deductible, you spent the whole $8,000.
Which I don't know about your vehicles.
It's gonna go up every year, but.
So there's two different policies, basically the sheriff's office and everything else.
So, which one tweaks then? The auto owners?
That's everything else,
Okay, then the Apex is sheriff department?
pretty sure, yes.
Okay. But yeah, I agree with whoever said, it. We probably need some data, and maybe you
Sure.
look and see what, like, Lee's bunch spent on accidents, and then the sheriff department gonna be totally different deal.
Sure.
Okay. Do you need a resolution? Are you happy? I mean,
I'm fine with it.
okay.
Anything else for Crystal? Emily?
I just have a thing from Retirement Systems about the commission paying out either the deceased or the retirees, I guess is the word. The amount is $8,001. I think this is something that y'all have done in the past, but it's not every year, if I remember right.
So what the RSA wants us to give the retirees a raise when we can't even get our own employees a raise, basically. Okay.
I believe it said $1 for each year of service.
Yes.
To equal out.
Like a one-time bonus they
That's
give
right.
every so often, is stay retired.
I'm not in favor of it, whatever.
When do we need to know?
I don't think it, they attached August 31st is when they need to know if we have to adopt a resolution or not.
I think we looked at that once before, but we did that.
We did it last year, and I voted no, but it still passed.
So we want it every year.
It's just every few years, I think that'll be often.
I mean, if you want a raise, keep them working, put it over the top. Maybe I look at it, I mean,
Yeah,
we
they don't
can't
give,
give the people that's working for us, we can't give them.
yeah, they don't give COLAs, they just give one time, because it costs so much, state can't afford it.
But then they come every year and ask for it, though. It's a one-time deal, and then next year it's another one-time deal. I mean, ever since I've been in office, they've come and asked for it. It's up to you, where you wanna put it on the agenda, huh?
What do you wanna do?
But don't do this, somebody wants to vote for it, they vote for it.
You don't need business.
Yeah.
New business?
Put it in my consent agenda, unless we need to.
And while we're with Emily, we're working the handbook on another subject this week. And you might can explain it better, but say if an employee got promoted, okay, just say one of my clerks went to a recording clerk, stayed there 2 or 3 years, decided that it won't take responsibility and want to go back to a clerk. The way the handbook reads, they go back basically at starting pay. Even though, I think that policy should have been written like the probation policy. If you're within your probationary period of a new job, you go back what you would have been making if you'd never left your old job.
You left that job 3 months, that job's gonna be filled in 3 months. That would be a job that.
I'm saying, yeah, years down the road, if somebody wants to go back to a lower paid job that they left, then they have to go back to that job's starting pay, basically. Instead of, you'd think it would read that it go back to whatever they've been making if they never left it. But they still have that years of experience with the county.
So the way it is now, they lose their status
Isn't that right?
So historically, before the new personnel manual passed, if you went up or down, we always say up though, so if you go up, if you take another job in a higher pay grade, we got the percentage within the minimum and maximum of that step, under that, pay grade, does that make sense?
Is this something that happens all the time?
So that's what it historically was, so when the new personnel manual, passed, we somehow missed it, and now it steps, of course, not the percentage, but they lose the steps through years of service, and so you could be looking at times, someone potentially making less than what they would at their current position. There is a clause in there, it is, 5% above starting pay.
When you go to the new position.
When you go to the new position, so.
Okay, I see two issues there. Okay, you're gonna pass on that same deal for somebody that quits and wants to come back in 2 months? And when you, like Emma said, when you fill that position, then where's the person gonna go? I mean, the person is on a 6-month probationary period, so you're gonna fire that person?
Let's just assume,
And then-
no.
No,
If you have an opening, though, somebody want to go back to their old
yeah,
job.
you have to have an open.
We just don't want our employees to lose their years of service,
Can we,
their steps.
can we fix that so they can?
I think it was overlooked when the new handbook was passed or at some point. Just like at the jail, and this was before all the pay steps, if we promoted somebody to a supervisor, they signed the form saying, they're taking all these responsibilities. And we had a clause there that said, if you can't do the job or you wanna go back to being a regular corrections officer, you'll go back in at the pay you would be making as if you had never left that position.
If that job's available.
Yeah, it's just, well,
So
We could even just be a step higher then, possibly, if they,
yeah, back then we didn't have steps, now you do, so,
it could be a step or two higher, depending on how long they.
so if you,
Which makes sense, because that person's already trained, if that position hasn't been if that position has not been filled, then you're not having to train somebody.
I can't
So
see any
it's
reason not
advantage
to
in
give
a
them
way.
a
It's kind of like the sheriff just did.
it just seems like common sense, but that,
But you're just talking like, if they take a job in 2 or 3 months, they decide it's not working out.
2 or 3 years, yeah.
2 or
2 or 3
3
months will make a difference, because they'll,
That's what I'm saying.
Can we let Jason fix this? Is that the way to proceed? Let him look at it, make a recommendation?
And I don't know if Wayne agrees, I feel like it should be across the board, if you go up or if you go down, you know what I mean? Of course, if the position is available. So if I were to apply for, let's just say, county administrator, I wouldn't wanna have to start back at step 1 or 5% above that step A. I would want you guys, me as an employee, to consider my years of service and put me, comparable to
where
where
you
I
been there
am
before you got
currently.
promoted.
No, it's not, and that's what I have.
That's right.
I know the real life. comes
So
from
if
me.
you, just to say that you was a helper and you're going to a supervisor, so you're saying that if you've been with the county 10 years, you wouldn't go into step raises of 5 to 10 years?
No, sir.
You go back to the
Let's say I'm advertising for an engineering clerk, and my assistant engineering clerk decides to apply for that, she would lose money moving up to an engineering clerk.
And we feel like it was an oversight, but it's
If you're
not.
moving up, you get at least 5% of what you were making, so you wouldn't lose money getting a promotion. But you can lose money going back down. Like if you, just say if you were a regular road hand at a 16A or a 16B, you've been there for quite a few years. You went up to some sort of supervisor, you went to 18A. 3 years from now, you say, I don't want this responsibility, I'm getting older, I wanna go back just a regular worker. You go back down to a 16A, you wouldn't go down to, you lose all your years of service credit, basically.
So give me an example. I mean, this is off over on left field. If past 6 months, your probationary period, they wanna go back, that's their damn problem. I mean, I don't understand why we discussing it.
Why would we not want them to go back to where they were, or taking?
Okay, when you open that can of worms, you're gonna have to bring back people, okay, say Lee quit.
That's a
Well,
new
they-
hire. That's